Okay, quick hello, we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Emilija Gjorgjevska and Jason Barnard.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. You promised to do that. That was absolutely amazing. And swingy jazz kind of style, what's that?
Yeah, a bit. Thank you.
Absolutely delightful. Lovely hearing somebody sing the song to me for once. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a really great webinar with Emilija, and a few things. Housekeeping, I think it's called. Anton isn't here, so I'm doing the tech and I'm doing the Q&A. So there might be some mess ups there because when I'm trying to deal with all that, it can be difficult. And I would like to start with obviously the war in Ukraine, as we often do on this show, and we have done since the start of the war. I think it's really important that to understand that the war has changed a great deal, that the priorities are very different as we move forward. And now more than ever, we need to stand with Ukraine. We need to support Ukraine and support the incredible courage of the Ukrainian people. And a really important part of that is the Ukraine economy is going to shrink by 45% this year. Supporting the Ukraine economy is phenomenally important. We need to help them rebuild their economy over the coming years, catch that back up and get the foot forward. Here's a message from Myroslav.
We're from Ukraine. My name is Myroslav Khmarskiy and I'm 27 years old and I'm a partner in one of the Ukrainian law firms, Avitar. Due to the situation, a lot of skilled and experienced workers and specialists are now either refugees in different countries or they are without their jobs. We realize now that our main objective is to make sure that the Ukrainian economy withstands the war. So we call out to all international companies all around the world to help Ukrainians by hiring them. You can follow the link below and leave your request for the expertise that is needed for you now, and our community will respond. Slava Ukraini.
Brilliant. And we have Olesia, who was over there on the right, and you can contact her. She's organizing support for freelancers, especially in the SEO community, and the companies over there on the right that we saw support them, who are supporting Ukraine or are in fact Ukrainian or in Ukraine. Thank you so much for being with us, Emilija. I wanted to say one thing before we start. I thought Metaverse was this kind of catchphrase, this kind of quick, exciting new thing that was being used as a tagline. And you're saying no, and I've looked into it, and it's astonishing how much I've missed by just thinking, oh, it's a tagline. And as you said, Facebook have changed to Metaverse. Why would a multi-billion-dollar company change their name to some stupid tagline? It obviously has big legs, and it's obviously the future. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah,
I got
absolutely.
it wrong, obviously.
I mean, the privilege that big companies have compared to us bare mortals is that they have access to vast data that it's available to them to support their hypotheses. And in this case, having in mind that Instagram works well with video content and visual content, that it's that it's interesting and engaging. Now, I think that it's a logical step that Facebook did. Maybe not to an extent to rebrand the whole company from Facebook to, hello, Sylvia, to Meta, but still, in any case, it's a bold move. And I think that considering the trends, and I will show some statistics during my presentation, it's something that it's expected in a certain way.
Brilliant. And I was talking to Andrea just before, who was showing me the Schema markup. He was showing me the 3D hippopotamus on Android phones. And literally, I saw all this about half an hour ago, and I'm suddenly even more excited to hear what you have to share. So do you want to share your screen? And we're going to go through a 20-minute presentation. Anybody out there who has a question, and I certainly have a big long list that I've been compiling the last half an hour, pop your questions in the comments section. I'll put them up on screen. Once we're into the conversation, we will have a 20-minute presentation by Emilija. Then we will have a conversation, including your questions and some of my questions too. Are you having trouble sharing?
Yeah, I just shared my presentation. Okay,
Ready to go.
Do you see it on your side? Is everything okay? The classic question that everybody asks.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. And it's 100% we can see it. You can just click on the hide text to get rid of that little bar at the bottom.
Okay.
And it's over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here and to talk about SEO in the Metaverse. Basically, what are we going to share in the next 20 minutes is some lessons that we learned from computer vision and video, and knowledge that gain some knowledge that we can apply to Metaverse. I want to say thanks to my wonderful colleagues and my mentor and boss, Andrea, who gave me this wonderful opportunity. And a big thanks to you, Jason, because I was following your work for quite some time, and it's an honor to have this discussion with you today. Okay, so a quick introduction about me. My name is Emilija Gjorgjevska. I work as a senior VIP, SEO and machine learning specialist at WordLift. My background, my formal background actually, is in computer science, but I do have some other skills in product, in marketing, in content, in research, and I use this skill set to solve problems at my current company and, of course, for previous company that I've worked with. Okay, so if we see how online marketers were spending their time to optimize readers' content in the past 2 or 3 decades, we can see that we started with keywords, right? And then that lasted for some time until we got to the phase of optimizing with entities. At least I hope so, that online audiences can find our services, experiences, and product online. But it seems that stuff are changing, because if we use Google Trends, the tool for SEO research provided by Google from 2004, when it was publicly announced, up until this very day, 2022, we can see that the search term Metaverse is kind of trending in the last 2 years, even though I must admit that there's a slight decline between 2021 and 2022, but still the interest is very, very high. And we can definitely witness that there are definitely a lot of plenty Google update algorithms. They are raising the SEO bars, and they are making it very hard to meet the constantly evolving trends of the standards the online searchers have. So how that is going to reflect to us in the Metaverse. So let's see some statistics. 36% of the US adults said that they're interested in the Metaverse, or that they heard a lot or something about the Metaverse. Virtual reality experts are predicting that around 60 billion people are going to use virtual reality and augmented reality in the United States at least once a month in the upcoming years. There's some statistics provided by Google News and Twitter and Instagram. So, for example, when it comes to Google News, we can see that 175,000 search results appear for the keyword Metaverse news. On Twitter, the hashtag Metaverse gets around, I don't know, like 500 plus minus tweets on an hour, and Instagram shows more than 43K posts. But what is more interesting is that the creator of Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, for example, Epic Games announced that they are going to convert their gaming experience from a typical game environment that is happening on a computer to a Metaverse experience. The government of Seoul announced that they're going to invest in a national Metaverse platform, and also Dubai announced similar plans that are going to follow the trend. And what is even more interesting, we know that Facebook rebranded their whole company to Meta, and like I said, they definitely have the data to back their hypothesis that it's definitely worth to invest in that direction. So interesting times are ahead of us. Now, how does that look like? This is a video that I'm intentionally going to mute the video just to see the whole Metaverse experience that Mark Zuckerberg published today on his official Facebook page. So this is how the Metaverse looks like for those who didn't have the chance to immerse themselves in the Metaverse world. It's definitely engaging, and definitely interesting, and definitely fairly complex. Why? We're going to see in the upcoming slides. Now, it's a bit hard to talk about Metaverse if we don't talk about the current advancement on the topic of visual search and advancements on the visual representation field. There are definitely 2 algorithms that are worth considering because the deep learning revolutionized computer vision. The first model is DALL-E, DALL-E, and that's basically what we're doing here. It's providing text representation to the model, and what the model is trying to do here, which acts like a black box, is trying to generate a visual representation of what we provided to the model. So basically, if our textual representation is 4 gray cats, we are going to get this generated representation as shown on the screen. For those who are a bit more advanced, DALL-E, it's a neural network which creates images for text captions for a wide range of concepts that are expressible in natural language. And this is a 12 billion parameter version of GPT-3 trained to generate images from text description using a data set of text image pairs. But this is for advanced users, of course. And the second model here is CLIP, which stands for Contrastive Language Image Pre-training. Basically, it does the opposite of the first model. So basically, when we are providing an image, it tries to generate a description. So for example, if we provided this image to the model, what we're going to get back is 4 gray cats. Andrea definitely experimented with this in the past. So there are some challenges by using this model. For example, going past 3 is challenging even with models that have 1.3 billion parameters because there's still some work waiting to be done in that field. Now, there's a premise that we believe on here at WordLift, and of course, revolving their past work before I was hired at the company, that marketing is the generous act of helping other people achieve their goals and also an opportunity to serve. So that is why we always share our experiments and scripts online with the community, because we want to help people advance. The current experiments are connecting computer vision, images, and videos so that we can use these learnings to optimize for the Metaverse world. The first experiment that we did is the Swiss raclette experiment. So basically, what we are doing here is trying to, we search on Instagram for Swiss raclette, and we carefully picked multiple videos that involve Swiss raclette from multiple angles, but also combined with different ingredients. They are typical for Swiss raclette, which is a traditional Swiss dish. In this case, we are combining it with ingredients such as potatoes, breads, onions, cucumbers, and meat. And we are showing this from different angles, of course, with also some audio elements like forks, sounds of forks, knives, spoons, and in general, some restaurant sounds. And based on these videos that we selected by using our knowledge in computer vision, like I said, different ingredients from different angles and different setups, we combined all these videos into a single video sequence, visual representation that lasted around half a minute or 40 seconds, and we uploaded this video to YouTube. Now, what is so special about this video experiment is that we did not use any traditional search engine optimization tactic to optimize for. Now, when I say that, I mean that the video did not have any tags, there are no comments, no shares, no description, no campaign, no user signals. We definitely did not have language setting, no captions, and undefined location, all of the stuff that you see on the screen that are basically lacking. And those are intentionally done in this way because we wanted to isolate the effect for all this stuff to see how far the video can get just by using our knowledge from computer vision. To be fair, we gave a simple file name. The video is named raclette. And we have good objects in the video, we have a good title, but the general approach is like apply computer science knowledge to video to see how far it can get. Now, this is just a screenshot of my YouTube channel so that you can be sure that we definitely didn't implement any of this stuff, like I said, to isolate the effect and see how far the video can get. And on the following screen, we can see that in the first phase, the video managed to get around 489 views, but up to this day, it has around 700 views. Around 50% of it came as a result of suggested videos, around 20% of it came as a result of shorts, which is part of the short section on YouTube. Browse features around 13%, and YouTube search around 8%. So if you summarize all of them together, you can see that over 93% came as a result from search features. So that's the success of the video and the experiment that we managed to show here, just by using the knowledge that we have from computer vision and not doing any other type of typical video optimization technique for SEO that we usually see on blogs and so on. Now, why is this important? This is very important because architecting for video frames and engineering a smart environment setup is the content optimization for visual experiences, for videos, for images, for visual experiences of the future, like the metaverse. And why that matters? It matters because we have a full control on our content creation process. You cannot re-optimize your visual representation afterward or write a better description for your metaverse world or your video or your image for ranking, because Google will ignore them right away or will do that over time. And I can give a simple analogy here. For example, sometimes a situation with my boyfriend that is happening, we eat together and I say to him, okay, honey, can you please wash the dishes once we are done? And he says, of course, yes, I'm going to do that for you. And eventually he forgets to do it. So it's one thing what people say that they are going to do. It's completely another thing what they're actually doing. The same is with Google. It's one thing what we are saying to Google that we are going to do, but completely another what kind of objects, what kind of video environments we are providing it to its algorithms and so on. Ideally, our goal for all marketers should be to build or want to build stuff that are going to last, because it's cheaper to architect a video environment beforehand versus bringing the whole team to produce a new video story, a new video sequence, and promote it again all over again. Now, to be fair here, we need to be careful about these things, because what we are trying here is trying to mimic Google behavior, but by using known technologies or known algorithms that are available in the computer vision field here or generally in the computer science world. But in any case, that does not mean that we are equal to them, because Google has a lot of data and engineering resources that we, of course, cannot get or implement. So there's a paradox. On one side, we need to assume that everything can be detected and identified. But at the same time, if we don't do a good job to be clear in our visual representations, that we can also assume that everything can be misinterpreted or inappropriately tagged or classified. Sometimes because video experiences and visual experiences like the metaverse world are complex and have a lot of creativity in them, the story behind the visual representation won't allow optimizing for objects. Of course, you cannot put a lot of objects in a single visual representation itself, so you need to be wary of that fact as well. Now, everything matters. I'm not saying that if you upload a video or you have a metaverse experiences which people like in a certain way, come to immerse with you, and you have likes and comments, that does matter a lot. However, the reach to other audiences without a solid basis that focuses on how this visual representation is created definitely is limited. We have the best chances to achieve our goals if we care about both aspects on time. What I personally like about this approach is that it's applicable to all social media platforms. I mean, when you care about objects and visual representations in your videos and metaverse experiences, they're basically following the same logic on every social platform or online experiences. That it's true for Instagram, for Facebook, for Twitter, for the metaverse, for the YouTube. So basically the way they understand these visual experiences is by using some sort of algorithms like we showed before, and some logic similar to it like we showed before as well. The second experiment that we showed here is using the You Only Look Once experiment. So basically, You Only Look Once, for those who are a bit more advanced, is a state-of-the-art real-time object detection system. So basically, it works with classes. A class is something like person, like apple, like TV, like car, and so on. And we have 80 classes that belong to this algorithm. The YOLO, it's a pre-trained model of convolutional neural network that is able to detect pre-trained classes, like I mentioned before, including the data set from Coco, and VOC. That's a bit more advanced description. The simple one is that you're trying to provide video sequence to the algorithm, and it's trying to detect objects that belongs to the 80 classes that I explained before. So what we did here, we searched for a video sequence that is that is full of objects, that is rich with objects, but at the same time does not have great length, to be up to 3 minutes, because the processing power, the compute power needed to process video is huge. So we wanted to make something simple so that we can see the initial results, and the video for Markup split in the SEO myth-busting series was good enough for our case. And what we notice here is that the algorithm detected part of Martin hairs to be classified as apple with a probability confidence of over 40%. Now, these are also different screenshots from the video, it detects the Martin's face to be a person, but with a great confidence also over 50% probability value that the lamp here and behind is a person. So this clearly indicates that these algorithms sometimes are doing a bad job, even though they are very simple to implement. Google definitely has something complex than this. There's sometimes that they're doing mistakes that we cannot afford for us to happen, because understanding the visual background is very important for us as a business. Now, the same happens with Ruth, I believe, because the item here behind her head is classified to be a car. This is, I think it's a suitcase. I'm not very sure about this, but definitely something that it's not a car. So what we are trying here is the way you can use this model is to download the pre-trained model YOLO H5 and upload to your Google Drive, as well as set the path to your model. And of course, you need to download the video that you want to analyze and upload it to Google Drive before running the analysis. We decided to analyze 20 frames per second, but like I said, please note that even a 3-minute video can be complicated to process, because processing videos and images requires great processing power. And what is interesting to note here is that if you work with more complex videos, longer videos, you would like ideally to remove some part of the videos that are representing duplicate images. So you can use the image deduplicator algorithm that is developed by the engineering team at Idealo, which is basically a Python package that eases the finding of exact or near duplicate images in an image dataset. This is the reason why we need to use the 3D model schema markup, because like I showed you before, sometimes when you use algorithms to detect objects in images, it's they're making mistakes. So that is why we need to use the 3D schema model markup, which is also available on WordIt as well. I encourage you to play with our tools and subscribe to them, because we mastered the concept of applying the 3D model schema markup very recently. The required properties for 3D model are type, name, and encoding, as well as the content URL and encoding format. So all of these media objects are available in the 3D schema markup model that you're looking on the screen. The way we are doing it and we created this 3D model schema markup is by dealing with advanced custom fields. So when dealing with multiple schemas, it's good to have a tool that can do the initial mapping, and then you can use for a newly created schema to apply it to new use cases. This is exactly what our tool does. So basically, we are identifying the schema markup type. In certain cases, different than this. It can be a course, local business, location, store service, and so on. We can define its attributes. That's the power of WordIt. We can mark up the optional and required fields. We can confirm the mapping and then apply this schema with the defined routes to upcoming specific cases that basically follow the same schema type that we created before. So more or less, we need to understand that everything matters. The metaverse is interesting, and all of these lessons that we basically showed to you in the previous slides are useful to understand how the future in the metaverse is going to look like. but it's important to understand that it still poses a great challenge to the world to advance in this direction, because the processing power, like I said, that needs to be used to analyze all these visual experiences is huge, and we'll need the science to advance in that direction. We also need quality data sets. So when you're engineering visual experiences, you will need to be very, very clear about what kind of objects and visual environments are you going to architect and develop around. And of course, one more thing that we have as a challenge in the computer vision world is that we are not having foundational models. So when we speak about comparison to the NLP field between the computer vision field and NLP field, we can notice there are already established foundational models for NLP. They are trained on tons of parameters like BERT, transformers, GPT-3, GPT-2, and people can adapt them for different applications and domain. However, it's worth noting that these NLP models can be unsatisfactory because they don't possess domain knowledge. However, when it comes to foundational computer vision knowledge, we are going to see something in future. However, we are going to rely in any case more on video than on images, so that's worth noting as well. Thank you for this presentation. It was an honor being part of this webinar. So if you have any questions, please write them down. I will be happy to answer.
Brilliant, absolutely wonderful. I'd seen the slides, I'd read the article. There's a wonderful article on WordLift that everybody should read that Emilija wrote. And I thought I had kind of understood, and you've just expanded it maybe tenfold. In the space of 30 minutes. Which
thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
So I'm terribly keen on the topic, and I'm really happy because in a few weeks we're going to have Heber Ashur from Microsoft, from Bing, who is in the image and video algorithm team, and we're gonna get loads of insights there. So I'm going to bring all of this up, and I'm incredibly keen. Now, I've got one question really quickly: is that Minas Merchant from Bing, who's the team lead for the image and video, was talking about the fact, or I was saying, you must have such a cost to analyze the images and the videos. You can't analyze them all, therefore there must be sampling.
Yes.
And he said, no, they do analyze it all, but I can't believe they can do that with the cost that implies.
Yeah, so I think that some of the techniques are going to be changed. So maybe, like we spoke before, first what they are going to do, or maybe will cause reduction of costs, is going to move from object detection to vector embeddings. Because if we go to object detection, you will see that we will need a large set of data set just for different objects that need to be processed. And in this way, if we are dealing with vector embeddings, what is a vector embedding? Basically, a computer cannot understand an image, cannot understand unstructured data like text, like image, like video. And what computers understands are numbers. So what we are trying to do here is to take an image or a video, translate it to a number. So basically, we are talking about 3D experiences here, and pictures and videos have 3 values for RGB colors. So we can use them to translate into numbers that we can provide to the computer so that they can work with these embeddings in the future. And of course, we will need to have strong computers to do all the processing powers that we can exploit in order to make this computer analysis running. That's my opinion on the topic.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I was talking to Ravi Yadav, who is now at Clarity, but he was in the image algorithm before, and I asked him about that, about moving to vectors, and he said, "Oh, you'll have to ask Heber, because it's incredible." And I hadn't thought about not only the pixel level. He was saying we break it down to pixels, we analyze the pixels, turn that into a vector space. But it's not just the pixels; it's the RGB color of the pixels as well. So it's a double, triple, as it were. And yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. And my question that he actually stopped me on was, can you then map that to word vectors, which they're all obviously using? That might be not part of your
Form factors. Not sure how we can connect. Maybe if we use these models that can translate a visual representation to text, yes, but it's still early to say. We are now experimenting with DALL-E version 2 with Andrea. So definitely stick with us for upcoming experiments. Maybe that can be a topic for another webinar, because we are still making some experiments on that field. It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Right. So the answer is you have some good ideas, but I'll have to
we
ask
have
again
a good
in 6
idea.
months.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a good idea in which direction that might go, but we are still experimenting, and I want us to keep the audience interested in the topic so that they can follow us in another webinar as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, during a talk, this is my notes. I've taken off some notes.
Wow,
Completely
amazing.
unreadable. But we actually have a question here from Luca. What do you mean exactly with architecting video frames? Are you referring to building a script in a special manner?
No, you don't need a script. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that you need to be very careful about what kind of environment you're showing on your video. For example, like say that you're speaking about jobs and you have an environment where only one speaker is speaking on a table and that's it. Or maybe you're promoting, I don't know, even better an example. You're talking about homes and you have just a person speaking for 5 minutes in front of a table. So you need more home elements around you. I mean, you want to catch the atmosphere around it so that the algorithm can understand, okay, there's a table, there's a sofa, there are chairs, there's, I don't know, maybe flowers. So something that is typical for a home environment, not just something that the algorithm cannot grasp. So it will get grasp from the visual environment itself. So it should focus on this case on, I don't know, taking what you're saying in the video and analyzing the wording in your textual representation, a voice representation. That's what I meant. I hope that this answer was clear enough for you.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant answer. I mean, it does indicate that the production values you need to have and the planning is incredibly important. I made a cartoon back in the noughties, and we did the storyboarding, and that kind of the storyboarding process of deciding what you put in there to provide those visual clues, and then the sound on top. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, it's definitely worth noting it and thinking about it, even though what is interesting though, we don't have a software on the market that is able to do this type of analysis for us, right? Like to competitor analysis, for example, how interesting can be that? Or analyzing our own videos, what kind of item objects are missing when it comes to analyzing home decor setups, for example. But yeah, it's definitely worth talking about it.
I mean, which means we have every motivation to analyze our own videos before putting them out, with the idea that we can see to what extent Google might understand. But obviously, Google has much more in terms of resources and technology, and their algorithms are going to be way more advanced. So basically, if we can get it to understand, if we make a video that our relatively low-level algorithms going to understand, Google's going to do a much better job, but Google still gets it wrong.
I don't think that they're getting it wrong. I mean, you can play with the Vision API because they become very precise at their analysis nowadays. But when we planned this presentation, we kind of hope that we are going to do something simple and effective, while also keeping the cost for people low or not cost at all. I believe that they're good at analyzing their data sets, even though nowadays when you talk about visual analysis, it's not only the visual analysis itself, it's also about the audio, but that's fairly complex and maybe we are going in another direction. So I would leave that for another occasion.
Right. And to the audience, if you want to ask questions, do. Until anybody asks additional questions, I will keep asking my questions because a lot. One thing that I've suddenly thought of, do you think that they're analyzing text that shows on the screen? If I put up a big what do we call a banner in the screen, like the banner at the bottom, would they be reading that?
So we had an experiment in one of my previous companies that I was working for. Of course, I cannot disclose about which one was it, where we had the video architected specifically with textual representations in the background. And it turns out that by following the same logic, not involving anything else, like in the Swiss roulette experiment, Google did understood us based on the text that was appearing. For example, some books in the background. So of course you need to have this book and book titles clear. So if you talk about jobs and then you have some job related titles in the books that are showing behind you, it can understand. And some Jason was doing, of course, people buy his book about the brand reps in the background that you usually post in behind. It can understand that as well. So yes.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Which then kind of leads to the idea, and is that people will put these texts on screens in the hope that Google would just read as they go through. But the next question is actually going beyond Google. You were mentioning the different social media platforms who are all doing the same thing. So I was talking to Lauren Baker a couple of years ago about repurposing. He was the one who introduced me to repurposing, and I've gone with Kalicube a bit repurposing crazy. And repurposing is amazing, but that means that if you plan this amazing video to start with, you can get all of these different machines to understand what you're doing.
Yes, and that's the challenge. I mean, it was hard for our social media team who are handling all of these posts that they need to publish. For Twitter, you need to publish, I don't know, one sentence description. For example, for YouTube, you can also architect all the, not architect, but actually provide all these time intervals between, I don't know, from minute 1 to minute 2. This is what is happening from minute 2 to minute 3. It's another topic and so on. And it was very complicated for them to keep up with all that work because it creates so much work on different fields. And we were thinking about, okay, what will be true for us maybe in 10 years? Are we going to keep up optimizing in this way? So how can we use this knowledge if 10 years from now, everything is going in this direction? How can we use that knowledge to start working on it today? And that is why we said, okay, it's definitely worth investing in because it eases the work, plus it kind of follows the direction in which everything is slowly going.
Right, 100%. And you mentioned as well, is kind of coming back in the production process and republishing a video. Obviously on YouTube, you have to publish the new video, but in any case, much more than articles on websites where you can just go in and change a few words if you want to optimize it a little bit better to keep up with the algorithms. In video, it's done, it's made, it's there, and doing those corrections is difficult, if not impossible.
Yeah, so basically the only correction, it's impossible unless you re-upload a video or maybe upload a new video that will contain the old one with a new explanation, new fresh moment added to it. So basically it's impossible and it requires high costs. I remember that I saw some serious numbers where I was checking the budget on the companies that I was working for. And I was thinking, God, we invest so much money into video production and also hiring actors to speak for us there, especially if they're public people like influencers and so on. And we don't take care about this stuff and how is the environment organized around. I mean, this is some serious stuff that we need to monitor and that we need to care about. And this is why we decided to go this way.
Right. I mean, I made the TV series and it's just coming back to me. It was €1 million for 250 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, it can be that big. And even slow commercials can take little money. And this is a very good point. Like you reminded me, not just for SEO purposes, it's also for advertising those videos because what Google can understand better as long as we're providing good environments, visual environments in behind. Even the ads and the whole ad process can be advanced if we do good work there.
Right, brilliant. Oh, dearie me. I mean, this morning I was thinking, what are they called? Key moments and chapters. Isn't that advanced? And no, it's child's play. We have another question from the audience, which I couldn't read small, so I've got no idea what it is. Luca again. Do you have an experiment planned related to SEO within decentralized worlds like Decentraland or Sandbox, or this approach is only related to Google indexing?
Oh, this is a great question. Thank you, Luca, for being so detailed on this one. Unfortunately, for now, it's only on Google that we experimented with, because the work and the clients that we were dealing with found Google to be the most important for them. But this is definitely worth considering for our upcoming experiments. Maybe you just gave me the idea of what can I write in our future article series. Thank you. I can definitely experiment with that.
That's absolutely brilliant. And we have a hi from Shrivan as well. We had quite a lot of highs, which is really delightful. If we come back, before moving on to the 3D images, Andrea showed me the hippo, and I'd love to talk about that a little bit. But going back to, I think it was DALL-E, was it? With the 4 cats, yes. But we only saw 3 cats.
So the model can count up to 3, but it's not that advanced to understand how to create visual representations that are going past this number. So not sure about DALL-2, but because we are still doing these experiments, but the old model DALL-E was not capable of doing this counting.
Right. Okay, because I mean, I remember somebody said, it might have been Andrea, in fact, that the NLP algorithms can't count up to 3. And what he was meaning is it's predictive. So if you feed the machine with song titles, for example, if you give it the word 1, it won't say 2. It will say 1 step beyond, which is the Madness song. But literally here we have machines that can't count to beyond 3.
So, like I said, there's still a big space for us to advance in the computer science world. It's not just related to counting. Like I said, we're still lacking even the foundational models and that's due to compute power. We also need the hardware that is able to handle all that processing. And I hope that in the upcoming years, we are going to have more cheaper versions to deal with high what's the word in English that I'm searching for? Large data sets and great data sets of images and videos that are waiting to be processed. So I really hope that everything will go in a good direction here. Right.
Yeah. I mean, given from that perspective, I mean, it will almost certainly, since Google and the other big tech companies have been developing the technology that allows them to do the things that they wanted to do with BigQuery, big data, to build, going from data lakes to data rivers. They basically said, we're going to create and develop the technology because we know where we're going. We just don't have the technology or the capacity to do it. So in this case, presumably it's going to be the same if you've got Facebook and Google and Twitter.
Google and Facebook are definitely the leaders on this field, because Google has all these images from the image search that we're talking about and all these videos on YouTube that they have been analyzing, while Facebook had Instagram and all the visual experiences that they were learning from here. So it's very interesting to see who will going to lead in the way, even though Facebook are primarily not first, but definitely going that direction, because of course they made a bold move to rebrand their whole company to Meta, and now they're even going to reward Metaverse experiences that people are going to find engaging. So that might be some sort of a ranking factor in future, maybe, like how many people are going to be present in a certain Metaverse world or visual space, and how many people will feel delighted from what they're going to find there, even though I'm not sure what kind of technology or feature maybe they're going to use to measure that in behind.
Yeah, and the experiment you mentioned earlier on, where you managed to rank and get 400 and something views and 700 now, does that suggest that Google or YouTube is analyzing every single video to some extent, but not necessarily to the full extent?
I think that might be true. Of course, this is just speculation, because we are not Googlers and we are not allowed to even though we were, maybe we are not going to know all these details in background. But I assume that definitely Google must do this in the background, because not just for understanding good videos like this, but also some abusive content. This is something that they need to be very careful, because the experience provided to the end customers or end users needs to be seamless and delightful. So without proper analysis, because like I said, for example, I can take a video where somebody is abused and just upload it and say that it's a beautiful world of flowers, and what will my description mean compared to what it's exactly shown in the video. That is why I believe that they're doing this type of analysis in the background.
Right. Okay. And just pure speculation, but as you were talking, I was thinking it is also possible that because you gave it so little to go on in terms of tags and title and description and so on, that it analyzed more than it would otherwise analyze because you gave it little to go on, as opposed to it analyzing absolutely every video. But that's even worse speculation than the previous effort that I made. My next question is all about the schema markup. I don't understand how the schema markup you showed on screen applies to a video that's going to have lots of different frames.
Okay, so basically, like we saw from the experiment with Martin Split, we saw that even when we use some, you only look once algorithm was fairly simple, but we wanted to show how object detection works just in several lines of code, which are of course available for copying in my article for SEO in the Metaverse that you can find on our WordPress blog. Sometimes algorithms are making mistakes when detecting objects, and this is something that we want to avoid. So it's not so easy to do it by creating new video frame, but it's okay if we use the 3D model schema markup to say, okay, this type of 3D objects are available in our visual experience, and we can populate them with data for our 3D models. For example, what type of media objects is used, what will be the content URL to this object, and so on, and pack it in a simple JSON-alike object so that we can explain to search engines what is happening in the video and then provide it to them.
Absolutely brilliant. Can we move on to the hippo? Andrea was showing me the hippo earlier on, and on Android, if you search for hippo on an Android 7.2, I think it is, or more, it will have a button where you can actually just click on it or press on it, and it will show you a 3D hippo. And I was having loads of fun with that. I thought, great, that's a hippo. And I can look at a zebra. And then Andrea then posted products as well, and that's where we're going. And I hadn't really thought that one through.
Yeah, so basically why we care about computer vision, it's not just for ranking our videos or images and visual experiences, but also we are talking about commerce of the future. So basically what the algorithms I'm going to do is detect some items that are going to be for sale in the visual experiences in future, and now we want to help them understand which visual items are represented in this visual representation, so that we can create this 3D schema markup objects and provide them to search engines. This is something that we worked recently on with WordLift and dedicated a lot of time improving the 3D schema markup. So it's definitely a feature worth playing for, and I do encourage you to try to use it.
Right. Okay. And today, in terms of products, there are practical implementations. There are some companies that are implementing 3D modeling, presenting it and getting it into the Google results.
Yes, I think that the one they are dominating here, I saw that T-Mobile, T-Systems are doing 3D models of their mobile items on their official website. And of course, the gaming world, where you have a lot of items for the games that you can use and buy, are definitely interesting. But those are the people who actually will be leading in the 3D space. So for now, those are the companies that are dominating. It's yet to be seen that other companies to follow the process. But those who go first will definitely see all the benefits from it.
Yeah, I mean, so you're saying, if I understand correctly, that the practical usage within Google search is minimal for the moment.
It's not minimal. It's just that the 3D models, 3D schema model is something that become recently available for implementing. And we are encouraging people to start working in that direction, because it will going to be something that will be mainstream in future.
Right. And how does the script 3D schema markup function? It's obviously, you were saying it's 3D markup
It's just like any other schema markup, just helping understand something from unstructured data in a structured way. It's just intended for 3D objects that are present in the visual experiences that we're interacting with.
Right. So, sorry. So it's like an image type or a video type, but it's a 3D.
Absolutely. That's unstructured data.
As opposed to, I had this kind of mad idea, I think, that you were describing the geo shape of it and giving it the coordinates so it could rebuild it, but it's not. It's
no,
you create the image.
You're not going that far.
No, I think I might have overthought it and got a bit overexcited kind of about where this might be going. I mean, and kind of if we come back to the videos and images, because I mean, that's more today. I mean, you think we should prepare for the 3D modeling further down the line, but perhaps video is
well, we already
have
video experiences, like I showed in the Martin Split experiment. Everything can be misinterpreted in a certain moment of time. So that is why we need to help engines understand sometimes, because we cannot deal with, I don't know, in other occasion, we will need, I don't know, how huge data sets to train our models to be able to recognize all these objects correctly from different perspectives, different angles, different setup, night, day, and so on. So this is very hard to do it, and sometimes even Google will struggle with it. Maybe it's interesting to see what a free tier version of Google Vision API can detect, and even then recognize what mistakes Google is going to provide back, and then use this knowledge to say, okay, this is what Google it's not capable of recognizing. So I will definitely proceed with using the 3D schema model markup, because this is the way that I'm explaining for now to search engines what's seen on what's present in our visual experiences.
Right, and you were mentioning the model you're using has 80 objects in it, or 80 classes in its
Yeah, the YOLO, you only look once algorithm. It's the reason why we chose this. It was the simplest of all. In just a few lines of code, we wanted to show to the audience what can be done when it comes to object detection, and it has only 80 classes, which is fairly simple consider to the number of objects and the visual representations that are present in video. It's nothing, basically. We need something with, I don't know how many classes, but in any case, it's interesting that it shows us some results in what direction this might go and what might be the challenges, because Google now mastered text representation nowadays. It can understand everything from emotion to meaning, to semantic relatedness and everything. But when it comes to more complex experiences, more complex and structured data like video and Metaverse visual experiences, then it will be a bit harder for them to understand the environment.
Right. I mean, just kind of that very short little moment that you just described, I've gone from, in my mind, okay, we've gone from 80, then we've said, okay, every object in the world, then we said every variant of that object in the world.
Yeah, that's you can see combinatorics, how many variations are we going to have there. So
yeah, right, but sorry, so I was going even further down the rabbit hole, because then it's every angle of every object, and then it's every frame in every video of each of these elements that I've just described. 30 frames a second. You talked about a 3-minute video, an hour and a half video.
It goes exponentially, as you can see. It goes exponentially, so it's very, very, very complex to do it. But for now, and like I said, we don't even have the software nowadays to do this type of analysis. Not even for our own analysis, not for competitor analysis. But it's something that our experiments prove that there's a need for something to be done on this front. And the 2 key points for the whole presentations was, 1, take care for architecting your visual environment beforehand. 2, use the 3D schema markup, 3D model schema markup to provide explanations to search engines to understand your unstructured data when it comes to image and video. We are not talking about text here.
Right. I mean, and I'm just, we're going to be wrapping up. We've got about 7 minutes left, but I've obviously just gone down this rabbit hole of multiple variants and a ever-increasing number, what's the word, of options. I've lost my English language right now. That's all in the future, and I have a tendency to kind of look at what's possible and immediately go there and start getting excited about what's 5 years down the line. I know Andrea gets terribly excited about things that are further down the line. if we bring it back to what's more practical today, the word I was looking for was exponential. As the whole thing goes exponentially, but practically today, what can we do for the metaverse, optimizing for the metaverse for all of these different machines? I mean, you went through it earlier on, but can you kind of conclude with what it is we can do practically? Schema markup planning, our videos, our images, and so on.
Well, like I said before, definitely those are going to be these two approaches that we mentioned before. Be very careful about how we tell our visual stories, not just creatively, but also algorithmically in a way of that everything's clear. For example, the lamp above you, it's not fully shown. So if we do image recognition now or object recognition now, it will not be understood by Google or any other search engine because it's not fully shown, maybe. So care about telling your creative stories in an elegant, technical way by involving all the objects that are necessarily there, and try to use a schema markup that it's good enough to explain your unstructured data, and of course try to develop a way to promote your materials in the metaverse world, and in the end provide great user experience, because that's what holds true nowadays.
Right. I mean, you've just added in my brain two new exponential increases in complexity, one of which is fragments of objects like the light you mentioned, and the other is objects that cross over each other, like the mirror behind me.
Yeah, the mirror,
you can only see half of it. And in fact, that's even worse. If you look at my reflection in the mirror. So that might be
classified as clock. If you see it has a round form, if you analyze the form, and that might be classified as a clock. So this is one reason why you need to use schema markup, because maybe Google will not see the numbers like 1 hour, 2 hours, and so on, but it will detect the form and misinterpret it. So that is why it will be useful, for example, if this was an image that you use on your website, or a video, maybe the video that we're posting after this, not conference, but webinar, to provide 3D schema markup on your website that object was this and that, for example.
Absolutely brilliant. And I kind of now thinking that obviously this is absolute rubbish. I'm in a hotel room, and setting out your background becomes phenomenally important, making sure that everything is clear, making sure that everything is relevant. We're looking at the relevancy again.
Yeah, well, absolutely. For example, imagine yourself, and what will that mean for a user experience? Let's say that I'm looking for a car, and I'm looking for I don't know, the current situation that the situation that I'm currently in. For example, I want to change my phone, and I'm searching for reviews on YouTube for phones. So what will happen if the reviewer does not actually show phones in the video, or actually show the exact model that I'm particularly interested in, or show some other interesting objects that are connected with the phone, like charger, or maybe agreement, or maybe I don't know, a mask, for example. This is something that we as users expect to see in the video, because that is why we are searching for these visual experiences. At the end, it all comes down to meeting customer needs and creating value for the end user.
Ooh, I don't think, I was going to say something else, but I don't think we could conclude it any better than that. You've just nailed the conclusion. That was the most brilliant conversation or listen that I've had in an awfully long time. That was absolutely brilliant, Emilija. And thank you to everybody for watching. As Andrea said before, this is amazing knowledge to be shared. It's astonishingly mind-blowing, and I'm delighted. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Emilija, for coming along. Do you want to sing the song together?
Yeah, we can sing. Yeah, right. Yeah, of course.
So you sing my name, I'll sing yours. 1, 2, 3. A quick
hello.
We're good to end the show. Thank you, Emilija.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, there was a lag between the videos and on my side and your side. Maybe that messed a bit things up. But it was a wonderful experience.
I hadn't thought of that.
And thank you.
Playing music online is almost impossible because of that.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. Thank you for the ability to represent the women in tech SEO community here as well. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent WorldLift and in the end, my own country, North Macedonia, where I come from. So thank you for everybody joining in. I hope that you learned something new, and please stay tuned for upcoming webinars. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you to the audience. Astonishing insights from Emilija. I've just learned loads and my mind is blown, and I probably won't sleep because I'll be thinking about